too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
You guys know we're doing Dr. Boyce TV. I had to come back this week. I want to apologize for all the slobbering I might do today because I'm in the middle of a long dental process, but it's okay. We're still going to get it in. We're gonna make it happen. Now, a lot of you watched this, what can only be called a shit show of a debate between Biden and Trump. It was a complete mess, and a lot of you had something to say about it. And so I get the opportunity today to speak with you with a guy that I respect a lot, who's done a lot of good work for the community and for the world. The homie Ice Cube is joining us today. How you doing today, man?
What's up, Doc? How you feeling?
I'm feeling better, brother. Feeling much better. Thanks for asking. So we had talked right before the debates, and then we just talked after the debate, and a lot of people felt like it was just kind of crazy, just stuff they didn't expect. What were your thoughts as you watched Trump and Biden kind of go at it and go back and forth like that?
I thought it was, a little bit, it was a little childish in a way, in some ways. I tried to understand each other's strategy. I see, it was a lot of talk about Biden not being able to really, stay on point with his, his messaging. And so I saw Trump trying to really knock him off with different, interruptions and things like that. So I just think it was just not a good look for the country, as a debate. As far as Black people go, it was nothing there. It was nothing new that we were hoping to hear. We was hoping to hear somebody, really put the effort out and say, hey, I'm gonna do this for the Black community outside of police stuff. All of us don't go to jail. All of us don't have an issue with the criminal justice system. Some people want to feed their family. Some people got, more of an issue, maybe even with the health system than that. So that's not all of us. So you got to address everybody in the community, and it's not just gelling in police, but it's economics, So it was disappointing not to hear anybody go into that aspect of helping Black America.
Okay, so do you feel, let's start there then. How do you feel about the depth to which, Biden and Trump, or just any of the politicians, have addressed issues in the Black community, like the things that a lot of Black folks care about? What do you think they've done a good job of addressing, and what do you think that they've done a terrible job of addressing?
I think, they've, I guess, done a good job at sticking with one or two issues. I guess they think it's police brutality. They think it's criminal justice and prison reform. They think that's where they can hang their hat on helping us. And it's disappointing that not enough is being done to help us economically. Trump put out a plan. It is definitely a big number, but until he does, I guess, executive orders and does more to prove that he's going to do any of that, then a lot of people don't believe it. So he has to do more. And Biden, their plan hasn't changed from what we saw. I forgot what he called his plan inside of his.
I I think it had like lift every voice.
Yeah, lift every voice, plus,
I'm sorry, man, but I feel like that's bullshit. Like just
yeah,
the title alone, maybe I'm just not built that way. Because if you think about it, right? Lift
yeah.
every voice and sing. I don't know, has anybody in the chat, have you ever read the lyrics of that song? It's not a bad song. It's not hating on that song, but the song is very, very passive. And it's kind of like, you know, we've gone through these bloody roads that we've traveled and weak and weary, but we know God's going to get us through. And if you listen to the lyrics of the song, never once do they talk about, you know, they talk all day about the pain and suffering and how they survived it, but there's never a conversation about who did it, how they're going to overcome it, or how they might actually retaliate against the person that did it. So when I hear lift every voice and sing, I'm sure you've been invited to speeches where, you know, they'll sing that song, right? And I sing along just out of respect. But I think that this whole passive kind of approach might be part of what got us in the situation in the first place. Just kind of go along to get along. And the best thing you can brag about is that you survived. And I don't think that's the energy we need in order to achieve things. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, I just think, I mean, here it's called Lift Every Voice to Sing. The Republicans is called the Platinum Plan. You know, it's like both of them really, you know, could have been better names, you know. But, you know, you put that aside, you know, at the end of the day, it's really about what can be done, what can really happen. I think, you know, the whole passive thing goes back, you know, once we were fighting for, you know, our civil rights, you know, as Black people in America, and everybody really kind of joined in and made it a minority thing. We, you know, automatically we're pushed to the back because you add so many more people into the struggle. And at the end of the day, we're still at the back of the line trying to, now instead of fighting 30% white people who really trying to keep us back, now we're at the bottom of 100% pile because there's white people and then there's all the other minorities that you have to fight through to get heard. So that's one thing that really, you know, made our movement not 100% work for us 100% of the time. So, you know, these are things we're gonna have to sift through. You know, we're gonna have to get people talking about Black America. I love everybody. You know, I'm not trying to hate on nobody, or, you know, I know other minorities need help, but at the end of the day, we gotta help ourselves, or we can't help anybody. You know, we're not gonna survive another 400 years living under these conditions. So we have to do something to help ourselves. So we have to sift through all this and make sure our politicians are speaking directly to us and not just speaking to, you know, it's 70% minorities out here. So that's a lot of people to sift through to get heard. And the most egregious acts have happened to, you know, American descendants of slaves. So, you know, we gotta, you know, really push all our politicians to address us and really deal with us and not cloak us in the minority blanket. So, you know, it's not easy, you know, going through this, man, and really pulling back the covers and peeling back, you know, the onion and seeing what goes on. Man, there's so many pitfalls and so many things in place to make sure that we're not fully compensated in a lot of areas. So that's disheartening, but it'll take a lot of work, but we can, you know, uncover all that and deal with it. But first, our politicians got to acknowledge it and look to help us get it done. You know, I'm putting a lot of pressure on both parties, and that's what you're supposed to do. You know, a lot of people got their mind made up on who they want to vote for, and that doesn't mean you don't keep putting on pressure. You put pressure on, before the election, after the election, and during the term. You never stop. And we need so many things done, for us to relax or to say, hey, don't push no more. Just get in line, kind of shut up and vote is not the way to get things done. I think we have to really apply pressure, and we have to look for allies, real allies, and support them. And as Black people, if you like a candidate, you're gonna have to send them $5 or $10, man. It's like you're gonna have to help people get not only vote for them, but also help them, get in office. You have to help. So we see all these races going around the country, and it's not just the president. That race is one race, but there's governor races, there's Senate, there's Congress races going on. There's city, state, local, all kind of stuff going on. You got to vote on, and if you really want somebody to win, you got to send them 5 or 10. Just to make sure, because that's what white people are doing with their candidates. They send money for that so they can win. And if we don't start doing that, our Black candidates are going to serve white people that's sending them money. So we have to play the game on all levels. We ain't gotta, send in everything, but just, you gotta push to make sure the people you want to win. Everybody telling me, Cube, just tell people to vote. No, we gotta be smart. We gotta do what it takes. And I'm gonna tell it like it is. I'm gonna just say what I see. I'm not gonna push no company lines or no party lines or nobody's lines. I'm gonna just see what I see, say what I need to say. Some people don't like it, but we gotta keep applying pressure to these politicians, or they're not gonna do what we need done for Black people.
All right, everybody who just came in, we're joined today by Ice Cube, who has done a lot of things in the world, not just in music, in movies, in business, but also in politics. He's doing some good work out in California. He actually helped get a commission put together on reparations, where they're actually going to start studying the effects of that discrimination we've had on Black people, particularly in California, which hopefully will be the beginning of work throughout the country. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Also, if you're watching, do me a favor real quick, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the thumbs up, share, and subscribe button. And also, I want to remind everybody that a lot of what we're talking about are Powernomics concepts. Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics, at powernomics.com is a must read for anybody that wants to understand how to play this game at the highest level. And also, Dr. Anderson is actually joining us in the Black Business School for a Powernomics Masterclass that starts on the 15th. So if you're interested in joining us, just go to powernomicsmasterclass.com. That's powernomicsmasterclass.com. Now, let me jump in this word. I'm going to ask you about this. I want to bring up this word pressure. You use that word pressure a lot. And my first thought, because I don't know if they told you before, but before we did the first interview, I told them, I said, I have two favorite rappers, Ice Cube and T.I. T.I.'s the younger guy, and Ice Cube's the guy I kind of grew up with in terms of music. And you did a great song with Killer Mike, Put the Pressure on Him. That was actually the first time I ever heard Killer Mike rap. And I love that song because I said, these brothers are really talking like this is real stuff. Like, this is not watered down. It's not fake. It's also masculine, right? And I think that in our community, we're missing masculine leadership. And when you talk about that word pressure, and after that, Killer Mike and I actually talked, a bunch of times. We became friends and all that. And I still remember the first reaction I had to that song, because I do believe that music and what we hear and our messages, they're really important. We got to think about what we're putting between our ears. So when I think about the word pressure, I'm going to go to the three words that start with P. So you talk about PPP plan. I want to talk about PPP with three words. One is pressure. The second two words, which are different from the first, are polite and passive. And I think that when you talk about putting pressure on people, right, there are a lot of people who don't like that word because they feel like that's rude, right? That's impolite. And the best way for me to be polite is to be passive and to do what you tell me to do, right? So when you speak, you know, I'm not going to speak for you. I'll let you speak for yourself for sure. I don't hear you going out telling people don't vote or you know, vote for Trump or anything like that. You're just telling people when you vote, if you vote, get something for your vote, right? You're doing what is supposed to be done in the political game. You put pressure on people, right? Even your friends, and your friends are the people you put the most pressure on because your friends are the ones who owe you something. Your enemy don't owe you nothing, right? If I go work for a Walmart and they owe me a paycheck at the end of the week, I'm gonna put my pressure on Walmart. I'm not gonna put my pressure on Kmart. Kmart doesn't owe me money. I'm gonna put it on Walmart. So when I think about the Democratic Party, Cube, I'd like to get your take on it. I'm not even gonna frame it as a question. It's just a statement. I'd like for you to just hear what comes to mind. I think that people get misinterpreted because we are trained to be so polite and so passive that when people step up and put pressure on the Democrats, because the Democrats, that's the party that owes black people. We put them in office every time. There are people who get offended because they feel that it's just rude to be competitive. It's rude to demand what you deserve. Can you kind of speak to that in terms of, you know, because I know a lot of people are pissed at you. I know they're pissed at me, and I can't imagine, you know, what you must be dealing with. Can you kind of speak to that to help people understand the difference between putting pressure on somebody versus just being an asshole for no reason?
Well, I mean, when you're really dealing with trying to get a deal done, it's really on leverage. You know, either you have leverage or you don't. And when you have the leverage, you should use it and apply it. You don't have to do it in a malicious way, but it's just that's how it's done. You know, so sometimes when we're dealing with people in power, first thing we want to do is show all 32 teeth. You know, smiling and make you think everything is all right. I mean, you can see the molars on some people when they meet somebody in power. And, you know, it's cool to be polite, but at some point you have to get down to business and have an uncomfortable conversation and make people understand that you mean business. And if you have the leverage, you're willing to use it. You might not want to use it, but you're willing to use it. And so I think that's really what it's all about. You know, the contract with Black America is a great starting document, you know, for us to build on. And but if I just have that in my hand with a smile on my face, supporting everybody, then everybody's gonna say that's good, Cube, but nobody's gonna look to make it a reality. So we have that, and then it's time to apply pressure. The pressure is we need to start checking some of these boxes. It's a lot of boxes in this contract, and nobody has came out and said, this is stupid. We don't need to do any of this. Everybody has somewhat said this is a very reasonable document that in its reasonable demands. So we're coming from a place of reason, but sometimes you have to let people know that you're willing to be unreasonable when you need to do what's right for you. And so, you know, that's to me what the pressure is all about. You know, there's a party that has had our support for a long time. We believe they owe us. And if they don't want to really pay up, basically, not just make us feel good, but, you know, pay up, we got to shake free and show and go look for somebody else that's down to pay up, or shake free, become independent, and make everybody pay up. Basically, you know, you want our vote, pay up, and you get it.
Don't pay up, you don't get it. And so until we get to that place, we're going to continue to struggle with both parties, because one taking us for granted, one don't pay no attention to us, and we stuck. So we have to continue to put pressure on politicians, even when we want them to win. You dig? Even when we want them to win, we got to continue to put pressure on them to do the right thing, or be willing to use our leverage. Now, if we just in lockstep, nobody has to pay attention to us, really. Just got to keep us in lockstep.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I agree with you. I mean, I think it's
I lost you.
Uh-oh, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Am I here? Can you see me? Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me and see me okay?
Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm a bug. Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
It might be my connection. So if I go out, just keep talking and I'll come right back. But it could be the Wi-Fi.
All right.
So by the way, everybody, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. A lot of people need to hear this conversation. I want to ask you about this, man. You talked about, you use that word leverage, right? And I think very few people have as much leverage as Black people have in the political space, because we are the last major voting bloc in America. We're very loyal to who we support, who we love. When people are yelling and screaming about Black people voting and all this other stuff, I'm kind of like, well, what are you talking about? Black people vote like crazy. We are very loyal and consistent to the people that we want to support. So we've got the leverage, right? Now, that second piece you mentioned, the willingness to use the leverage. I think that's something that is, I expect you to understand that, because you're a man that understands strategy. You understand, the courage it takes to sit down at the negotiating table, almost like poker. Like, I love to play poker. And with poker, if you got a gun and you're scared to use it, then you'll get no respect, right? You have to show that you're willing to die right there on the battlefield in order to get anybody to respond to you. I see those as masculine, more masculine traits. Not that women can't do it too, but I see that more so something in terms of how men might deal with each other when they try to negotiate or in a tough situation. And I think that in general, like I know that my fiance, she doesn't move that way. She's the person that believes everybody wants to do the right thing, and like, well, boy, should we give them a chance, maybe And so I believe that one of the problems we have right now is that I don't think the Democrats, and I mentioned that to you, personally, but I believe that the Democrats and the Republicans too, to some extent, I don't think they know what to do with Black men stepping up. Black men like yourself. Charlemagne the God, the way he challenged Joe Biden in that interview. I don't know who Charlemagne's voting for, but I told him, I said, that was a great job. I don't care who you vote for, just challenge these people, right? I think that they don't like that. I think that's why they shifted away from that to the point where they've said, we're going to leave Black men behind. We got Kamala, the AKAs, we got the Black women, and I believe that fits into a psyche that says that because we're dealing with a community that is fatherless, because of the incarceration events that happen in states like California that you were out there fighting against, when you're dealing with a fatherless household, a man approaches that household differently from the way he approaches a household where daddy's in there. If you look at the show Good Times, if a man's trying to get by, he's trying to go sleep with Thelma on Good Times, right? And the daddy ain't home, he's gonna sweet talk to mama, give her some gifts, and then go and be nice to the family, go to church with everybody. But it's the daddy, when the daddy comes home, he's the one who scrutinizes that guy quite a bit more than everybody else, right? So Thelma's like, Daddy, he seems nice. And he's like, yeah, well, you let me figure that out, right? Because he might be on some game, right? I see the same thing happen politically. I think that politically, if you look at this, right, you've got Joe Biden, a white male, with Kamala Harris, who's married to another white male. No disrespect to who they marry, but it is what it is, right? The Black man and our issues have almost been completely thrown to the side. Everything on incarceration, the wealth gap, all the things that we bring up, thrown to the side. When you guys like yourself go and try to meet with them, the respect isn't there the way it should be, in my opinion, almost to the point where they're offended by the mere idea that you even put pressure on them. And they're basically, I think, concluding, we're just going to drive this bus on without the black men. Just come on, baby, get in the car with us. We're going to just drive this bus and we're going to leave the men behind. As a black man, I'm personally offended by this. And I think that a lot of people don't understand what's really going on. If you look at most of the people that are walking away and challenging Biden, and I'm not just talking about high-ranking people like yourself. I'm talking about people I look at on the internet. When I look at what brothers are saying on the web and stuff like that, I'm seeing a lot of men who are offended just by the way this whole process is going down. Am I crazy, or do you think that there's anything there that speaks to almost like a disrespect for the black male in general that says, if you're not on board and doing what we say, then we're going to have a big problem with you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it started, you know, in a lot of ways with corporate America, you know, when they wanted to go and say, look, we want to be more diverse and we want to have more minorities work for us. And then they was like, okay, we need women, we need black people. You get a black woman and you can knock out two birds with one stone. So that started to happen in corporate America, and it's happening in politics. You know, it's more of a, you know, if you get her, you don't really need him. He'll come along. And, you know, it is very disrespectful. And we got to combat it in any way we can, you know. And I think it's really about challenging the status quo. And look, we wouldn't be challenging if it was something real on the table. You know, people that say they are friends, when it's time to get down, when you know, they have the opening and they don't, you know, lend that hand like you think it should be, you start to question, you know, like, yo, you said you was down with what we were trying to accomplish. You have the power. Why aren't you doing more to really help the real demographic, you know? And I just think sometimes the Democrats is into helping everybody, and we get left behind in that. You know, at the end of everybody is us, always. So we gotta, at some point, people gotta look at us and say, this is a special situation that has to be dealt with and not glossed over with these different words and terms. You know, to me, minority is a bad word. It's just, it don't help us. You know, at the end of the day, when you hear that word, we only get 2 or 3% of that most of the time. So we have to be more specific. And, you know, of course, you know, some people we got to realize are not civil rights leaders. They just politicians. See what I mean? That's all they are. They don't just do and say whatever it takes to get by. And, you know, and some people really want to make changes. So you always got to know who you're dealing with. And, you know, skin color don't matter. You know, skin color don't matter if you set your mind to be a politician or you set your mind to change the world and be a civil rights leader, so to speak. So we gotta, sometimes we look at a politician and we just want to say, oh, you know, they for civil rights. You know, sometimes they just for themselves. So we gotta make sure that we're holding people accountable, asking for what we want, you know, and don't stop asking. You know, we need a lot of things done to help us catch up and close this wealth gap. And look, I don't know it all. I'm just trying to do what I can do. You know what I mean? I'm trying to shake it up, shake the trees a little bit, you know, turn these politicians over and dump out them pockets, see what come out. You know what I mean? That's what we got to do. We can't just keep playing the same old game and expect something different to happen for us. We got to shake it up.
There you go. Well, everybody who's watching, do me a favor. If you could, give this brother a digital round of applause for the fact that he is shaking the tree up. I think that it's important that, because you guys know, I mean, I see a lot of our folks get real hard on people that, you know, whether it's in the music industry or whatever the case may be, who are doing things that are fake. Well, you know, if you're going to challenge people when they do things that are fake, I hope you will congratulate them when they do something that's real. And I will just say this, guys. So give them a thank you in the chat. Like really, you know, say thank you. You know, and also, you know, here's the thing, right? Like I read the contract with Black America when you first released it, and I didn't know what to expect. You know, I just said, okay, did this contract. I thought it was beautifully written. I thought it was an excellent job, and I can, you know, I can see, I have a bullshitometer. Like I can just kind of tell if it's just some stuff somebody threw together. It was well thought out and it covers a lot of issues. And I'm gonna give you my reasons why I think any politician who respects our community is going to address this and use the contract with Black America as one of the tools they use in addition to things like Powernomics. Here's the deal, right? Now, you know, if you think about this, right, whenever the United States has had a war and they decimated a country, like in World War II, we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, we dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. It was terrible. Thousands of people died. Well, what did we do, right? Did we just walk away and forget about Japan forever? No. The minute the war was over, we went back and said, okay, we're going to help you rebuild. We got Marshall plans. We got all kinds of plans in place now. Yeah. We're going to allocate billions of dollars in resources to help you rebuild because, you know, we declared war on you and now that's over. Now we're going to move forward as partners. If they hadn't done that, Japan wouldn't be where it is today.
Yeah. Well, or Germany.
Or Germany, same thing. There you go. Yeah. There you go. So I don't think we can debate whether or not war has been declared on Black people. You know, I mean, people talk about white supremacist organizations and whether it's the Proud Boys or the KKK. I said, okay, I don't like either one of those groups, but the biggest white supremacist organization in American history is the United States government. That's, I mean, if you talk about laws on top of laws in place to oppress and to destroy and to kill and to steal from people, there's no debate over that. So if you're our friend, it seems to me that you would have people like us come to the table, not like me specifically. I don't need to be at that table, but you know, people that come to the table where there's a conversation about how hundreds of billions of dollars off the bat and eventually trillions of dollars is allocated toward a Marshall Plan. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've suggested the Marshall Plan. That, you know, not martial law for people that are saying, what the hell are they talking about? But it's called the Marshall Plan. And it's when they bomb out a country, they rebuild it, put it back together. And so we believe they should be doing that in the hoods in America because we bombed out. You know, we just as bad as any other country that, you know, has lost their economy and their communities and all that. So, you know, we need that done on American soil. You know, how you gonna put together Japan and Germany and any other country, you know, and not do it here in America? It don't make crazy man sense. So we want them to pull out all the tools that we know they got in their arsenal to help us get back on our feet. You know, the plan to just funnel us from schoolyard to jail yard, that ain't gonna work for us. That's over. That has to be done with. We have to dismantle and break that system up. And so that's what we gotta do. And so people that say they are friends, say they down with the cause, can't just help when it comes to our dignity. They got to help when it comes to the dollars. You know what I mean? They're helping with dignity, but they got to help with dollars because dollars bring dignity. Trust me. I remember how it was back in the day, how I used to get treated and how I get treated now. So dollars bring dignity. So we need them dollars flowing in our community and regenerated in the community. And a lot of people are gonna holler, Q, what you doing in the hood and all this stuff? I'm doing my part, but the government owes way more to the hood than Ice Cube. So let's go after the big pockets and the big perpetrators, which is U.S. government, state governments, local governments, then private sectors, you know, banking institutions. And, you know, we just gotta, this fight is a long fight, and it's across the board. It's not just with the government, it's with private companies. But one thing we're gonna have to do is figure out how to pool our resources and stick together. Because if we don't do that, we'll never win, because we're all separate armies now. We're gonna have to pull ourselves together and become a formative block, and then we'll get the things we want faster.
All right, everybody who's watching, I'm here with a guy who is not just legendary in hip hop, but also in business, filmmaking, and everything else, Mr. Ice Cube. He is hanging out with us today to talk about reparations, Black people, the 2020 election, and more. If you could, please do me a favor real quick, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, also give me a yes in the chat that you're going to take this link of this video and share it on social media. You are our distribution network. We must control the minds of our youth and our people so other people don't do it. So share this message. Other people need to hear this so they can realize that there is a better way. So I'm going to ask you about this, man. This will be my last question. I got to ask you about this because I think that it ties into your last point. So you were talking about not just the power of them, right? We know about the power of them, and we want to convince them to use the power of them to do excuse me, do things for us. But there's also obviously that power of us, right? Now, one of the things we have in the Black Business School is we have what we call the Black Core of Three. And this is part of what I call Project 2070. This is my vision for the Black community by the year 2070. We believe that Black people can and should do all we can to educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support our own businesses, right? It's not hard to do. There are thousands of people out here that are running Black schools that can't get money for nothing, right? So when Alicia and I set up a foundation for education, we said all of our money will go only toward independent Black-owned schools. There's enough money in the public school system. It ain't working, right? Kids are coming out, you know, all kinds of fucked up. We know this, right? So we're only giving money to independent Black-owned schools, period. Number two, creating our own jobs. I believe every Black child, particularly every Black man, must learn how to start a business by the age of 12. The same way we learn football, basketball, and everything else, we should know how to start businesses just as a means to survival. Not that everybody's got to be an entrepreneur, but there's probably $1 trillion or more in wasted human capital. If you just look at the brothers that are on the street that ain't got nowhere to go because the white man ain't hiring, that's a multi-trillion dollar resource right there in our community that nobody is tapping. Nobody's tapping, right? So it'd be nice when white folks come through the hood and create jobs and they tap in. That's great, but I'd rather find pathways for us to tap in. And I believe we can do that as a generation by having our children prepared not just to be job seekers, but job creators, right? The third piece is circulating the dollar, supporting Black businesses. If we support Black businesses and take just a small percentage of that 1.3 trillion that we have and recirculate that through the community, well, when you circulate a dollar, it multiplies. If a dollar is used by one Black person, which is then used by another Black person and another Black person, that's not $1, that's $3, right? Because the dollars get reused over and over again, right? So when you talk about immediate things that we can do directly as a community, I believe these are things that we can do that can have a massive impact. Like if that became as popular as everything else we do, like imagine if entrepreneurship became as popular with Black boys as sports is. Like we'd be the best in the world at it because we accelerate everything we do. We dominate everything we do, right? So I want to ask you this, man. Because I tell you, man, when you started the Big Three League, I thought that was so extraordinary because I've always been confused. I've always been like, wait a minute, Black people are the best athletes in the world. We used to own the best sports leagues in the world until we had the whole Jackie Robinson effect, right? We gave all that up so a couple guys could get a job. I never understood why guys don't have their own league, but you created the Big Three. And I would love it if you could share what you can in terms of the mindset of not just the creation of the Big Three, but just this idea that you became a playmaker in your life. Because most rappers don't go on and make blockbuster movies and start sports leagues, right? So what mindset carries you to do sort of one new venture after another and create your own reality in the way that you have? Because I think these brothers need to hear that.
Well, when I first started to, do music, I was fortunate enough to be around people who had to make their own way, had to carve their own way. Doing West Coast hip hop, we were really looking at us as we have to figure out how to break into, hip hop on a major level, like the East Coast groups at the time, which were the superstar groups. And so I seen people put their money where their mouth is. I seen people take risks and do things that wasn't comfortable and were, nerve-wracking at the time. But I noticed if you can keep your nerve and if you can play things out, that if they're supposed to work out, usually they will. So seeing that, with people like Lonzo Williams and seeing that, who Lonzo, he was the head of the Wrecking Crew. And then come with Easy.
I met him in L.A. He came to my event in L.A. I like that brother. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude, a lot of energy. And so Easy, seeing him do it, going from being a hustler to getting into the music business and kind of finding his way, it kind of showed me like you got to put your money where your mouth is. You got to take a chance sometime. But really when I met John Singleton too to do Boys in the Hood, and he looked at me and he said, "When are you gonna write your movie? Because don't expect Hollywood to come up and give you scripts that's gonna be good as this, because it ain't a lot of scripts for Black people in Hollywood." So that made me think, okay, wow, I gotta take, I don't know nothing about Hollywood, I don't know how it works, but now I'm learning that if I want to do good work, I gotta take the initiative to do it myself. And from doing videos and all these things just showed me, don't be scared to take that step. Especially if it's something you believe in, something that you're passionate about, something that you know is gonna work. The only thing that holds you back sometimes is you and the work ethic you want to put into it. And if you're dedicated to do whatever it takes, not nothing illegal, not nothing criminal, but doing whatever it takes to make it and doing whatever it takes for this to work, you got a shot. You got a shot at your business, your idea, or whatever working. If you're just looking for the outcome, you're just looking for the dollars it can make and this it can do, then you'll probably fall short before you get to the point where you're happy. So I'm saying, so, I learned to be happy with the work and contributing and doing something that kept me, alive inside, than, worrying about the outcome as much. You get the work right, and then you usually get the outcome you want. You know what I mean? You worry about the outcome, you usually don't get the work right. So, it's just having that courage. You don't know, you're not always going to start off with as much money as you need, but you got to start off with as much passion as you need. You got to start off with as much knowledge as you need. You got to know the game you're getting into. So with basketball, we just wanted to do something we knew nobody wanted to do. We wanted to, just as a fan, I wanted to see this. These 7-footers and these, pros who still got it playing 3-on-3 basketball. So just as a fan, I wanted to see that, and be able to be a part of it. So putting it together, it was all about, okay, now how could this really work? So now it's a project. It goes from being a fan to a project to it lays out the business model works. Oh, this could actually be a business. So from there, you start to say, okay, what do I need to make this a business? And then understand that most businesses, you're going to lose money for the first 3-4 years, most of the time, not all the time. So you got to be ready for that. So these are the things you got to these are the stages. It goes from passion to plan to an actual business model. What would it take to work? Because it's easier to do it on paper than that. Just go out and do it and then spend a lot of money and then figure it out on the fly. You figure it out on paper first. What can work, what's not going to work, why. Do as much as that, and then if you feel it, go for it. Go for it.
I love it. Everybody, if you could take a second and tell Cube thanks for this great advice. I mean, this is something you guys know I'm very passionate about. I'm a believer, man, that for the Black man, I believe that if you want to be a king, you have to learn how to build a castle. Because I don't know too many of these other men from other communities that are going to bring you into their castle and let you be the king. Some of our men are not built to be a beta or to follow behind somebody or to go just have a job working. Some people get fired before they even get the job just because of how they look. Because you're big and you're dark and you got a deep voice and you're intelligent and you're ambitious. That's a threat to a lot of men. So there are some places that women can go into that men just can't go into, And when I know a lot of brothers who, as you mentioned in your movie about getting fired on your day off, I know guys that get fired on their day off, just because of who they are. And I think that it is an absolute crime against our community for us to allow those boys to grow up without the skills they need to survive. Because there's probably a million Ice Cubes out here, a million Boyce Watkinses out here, a lot of guys out here, and a lot of them are in prison. I mean, some of our most brilliant, extraordinary men are locked up in prison right now, and it's not a coincidence. Many of them are war criminals. When you declare war on the community, you don't lock up the weak people. You go after the strong ones first. So I want to say thank you for the work you're doing to help our warriors get out of prison. I think that's huge. That's going to make a big difference. Also, for the preparation of future warriors, and the ladies are warriors too, right, in their own way. We're raising daughters and all that, so that's a part of the conversation too. And I just think we have to build a better Black man, build a better Black woman, to give them the ability to integrate. Like, you can integrate into the community, be a part of the world, but you still have a base of power. Because at the end of the day, it seems like it all comes down to power.
Yeah, and us really using our knowledge to advance ourselves, and not just using our knowledge, to go work on some job, to help somebody else become rich and advance their community, but using our knowledge to help advance each other in our community. And, to me, when it's a real subject, everybody can fight. Everybody usually has fight in them. You talk about a sister's money and she gonna, come at you. You know what I mean? There ain't gonna be none of all that, nothing soft. So, let me get real about their money. So we just take that passion and apply it to not worrying about everybody's problems. I think that's where we make our mistake. We want to be part of America. We want to be integrated. We feel like, oh, they're going to lose a Supreme Court justice. Oh, my God. All these little problems that, at the end of the day, if we're not in the economic stratosphere, these white people problems. They not our problems, because we have to become relevant in capitalism for those to become our problems. Right now, we got to focus on what's troubling Black people. And if we become single focused, then all that stuff will fall away, and you'll see really what's important and who's doing what for real. And you'll attack, what's not being done right. That's kind of how, I've come to where I've come to. I'm not worried about the world's problems right now. I'm just worried about what's happening with Black people right here in America, that we can really get ourselves on our feet. Then we can start helping the rest of the world. I love, I want to help Africa. I want to help all these other places, but we need so much help here, man. We need to get ourselves together. And so I'm going to work hard to try to help us do it.
All right. Well, you know what? I think our time is up. This brother has a very busy schedule, and I respect that. And please give Mr. Ice Cube I won't say O'Shea Jackson. I'll just say Ice Cube. Please give Cube a thank you for hanging out with us. His time is short, and this was a great conversation. And take what he said and take that with you. Take risk. Put your money where your mouth is. Let things play out and have faith. Have faith that if you do your best and you work hard, it's going to be all right. Don't be scared. Stop being punks. We're not a community of scared people. We're better than that. So thank you very much, brother. It's great talking to you, man. And I look forward to having you on anytime. You're always welcome to come through. And everybody, before you walk out, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Please share this video. Give me a yes in the chat if you're going to share this with other people. Other people need to see this. And also, don't forget, on October 15th, the Powernomics Masterclass starts. If you want to join us, go to powernomicsmasterclass.com. Dr. Claude Anderson will be a part of that. That's powernomicsmasterclass.com. Take care, guys, and I'll see you later, brother. Thank you. Thanks for
right.
Appreciate it.
Take it easy, man. God bless.
Same to you, man. All right. Peace.
Right.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr.